Oh, yeah. Welcome to John and Dylan Online. I'm Dylan Gott.
My name is John Hastings.
This week we're talking about MSN Messenger. One of the cutest little bong bums.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MSN Messenger episode. For those of you who don't know what MSN Messenger is, it is an episode that we've had to record a second time because of technical difficulties. And I don't know if any of you have ever hosted a podcast, but it is literally, it's the most annoying thing that can happen. I love MSN Messenger. I still wish it was around. For those of you who don't know what MSN Messenger was, it was texting on a desktop computer before phones could do that.
Yeah, it was a messenger service. You had to be at a computer, so you could just say, I'm not... You know what's missing now from communication? Yeah, I can't do this now.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
Plausibly, you couldn't. Because it's like, if someone's like, I'm busy, when they're texting, maybe they are. But like, you could be like, I don't want to talk to this person for days. And you could be like, yeah, I'm busy.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck me.
Yeah. Suck one, suck a dick, suck a titty.
Yeah. Eat my butt, eat my piss. Eat my piss in my butt.
So MSN Messenger was part of Hotmail. The Hotmail email, you automatically had it. And it was really one of the... It's much it's not like ICQ where someone had an idea and it grew. It's like a massive corporation decided to do a thing they already knew worked, and they fucking knocked it out. It's like Chipotle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. MSN Messenger is the Chipotle to AOL's Taco Bell. We're basically Microsoft looked at AOL much like Chipotle looked at Taco Bell and went, "There's a lot of pedophiles over there spending money. We need to get some of that money."
Yeah. So the big ones were, at the time MSN came out, was ICQ, AOL, and Yahoo Messenger. And the big awesome thing that MSN did was integrate themselves with AOL without asking AOL. And AOL had to keep on trying to stop it. And MSN would just basically turn that part of their messaging back on just so they could take some AOL people. God bless Bill Gates, the Elon Musk of the 90s.
Bill Gates gets here's the thing, is just because Bill Gates dressed like a fucking virgin, no one thought of him as evil because it was the 90s and they're like, this guy can't be evil, he's a nerd. I've seen Revenge of the Nerds, he only has sex at the end of the movie. He's not bad.
That is one I will say is the thing that the 90s has over to the 2020s, is that when someone was a tech nerd, they stayed looking like a tech nerd in the 90s. Yes. Like they weren't like, oh, sweet, I have $500 million. I'm doing steroids now.
Yeah, like in the 90s, that just meant that Bill Gates could finally get the double-wide cummerbund he always wanted that people felt was too much for his body, and it was, and he did not care. Like, it's just... Like, you know what I mean? Like, tech billionaires in the 90s still felt like they were at fingering, trying to figure out how to get their penis in puss. And now we are at tech billionaires, and they're like, you know, have you heard of ethical non-monogamy? I'm unethical non-monogamous. And it's like, what?
Yeah, I'm whatever it is where your wife's tied up and so are your affairs. They're all tied up, same place. They have to talk about how good I am.
I'm whatever it is where you had twins with a girl in vitro style, and then you kidnapped one of your kids, but you don't talk to any of the other ones. And you're like, I think that just means you're going through a psychotic break.
So it launches, and people could talk. Yeah, people could talk about AOL. Oh yeah, and the other thing was they updated the Windows XP, and it just stopped working.
So for those who don't know, there was a period of time where Windows would just... So Windows is the operating system, and for some reason, you know how you just have random updates on your computer when you're about to have a Zoom meeting and your computer is just like, oh, guess what's happening now? You've got to wait 4 minutes and everyone's going to think you're whacking off. Well, they would just do that, but you'd have to buy a whole new everything to get that update. So when the update was really bad, people lost their fucking minds. I assume Bill Gates is in Dylan's garage right now based off of the different places his eye line is going, or his wife is waiting to scold him about an errand he was supposed to run. Go ahead, Dylan.
Men doing the fence are getting waters. Very good. They don't want to just be like, you don't exist. But that's the classic Windows update. What's the update do? I don't know. We updated it. Suck my fucking dick. Like it's if you have, I don't have a Mac. I don't really have Mac, so it's like I'm used to the just random updates that I just have to always decline. No, I don't want your fucking update. Even like Windows, I don't know what Windows they're on, but they just keep on trying to get me to have the new Windows, and they're like, "Are you fucking sure you don't want the new Windows?" And then they're like, "Install Windows," and then the tiniest thing in the corner is like, "Really?" And then I always push never again, and then they just are always like, "You didn't need that. You want it. You want this fucking update, motherfucker."
You can customize the color of the icons with the new Windows.
Yeah.
Do you want
what will it add? Oh, okay. Well, it'll take up a bunch of more of your RAM so that you have to buy a new computer. That's good.
It's going to make sure that you can't find anything that you already organized on your computer for no reason. You're welcome.
Who was it? What's it? Fucking Windows XP? Yeah, I had a friend who was really into computers at the time, and he's like, "I'll never get Windows XP. That's how they fucking track you, dude."
Oh my God. The
Never.
track you dudes. I remember this about Apple. I remember someone, do you want to know why I use Microsoft? Because they have no way of tracking you on Microsoft software. And I'm like, I remember that was 2006. And I was like, I was only eating corn to lose weight. And I remember that guy, I was like, that guy's crazy.
Also, I thought it was funny to be like, "Yeah, they're going to track you." It's like, "Oh, he's still there." I don't know. It's like
It's
there's no. It's not a phone. You don't go around. It's like, yeah, he lives
so
there.
funny.
You
Yeah.
could look in the phone book and find that out.
He's at his house. What's his address? Well, there's only one way of finding a human's address in 2002, and that is tracking the software of his desktop computer.
Yeah.
We can't just ask him. That's the thing that people don't understand. Everyone talks about privacy. I remember in a time before the internet, you wanted someone's address. You just, where do you live? 544.
Or you look in the phone book because you know their last name, and it's like a government thing that they released the phone book, and then you would just look in the phone book.
Also, this is the thing. Did your town have grocery stores where you could have accounts? They stopped doing this, but I remember I remember the grocery store that closed when I was 5. One of the big things in the community was like, "What the fuck? The new grocery store's not doing accounts." And what it was you didn't have to pay for your food up front. You were just billed at the end of the month, and then you gave them a check like they were a utility.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome. No, I've never heard of that in my life.
Yeah, like that was the old, because it would be that thing of like you get paid at the end. Like it was, predicated on the time where it's everyone worked at the fucking mill, so you're only getting paid once a month. You're getting paid like $8. Food costs like $1 a week. You don't have any bucks, so at the end of the month you got 10. Give that fuck back 4. There you go. Pays for your beans.
Check this out, motherfucking pussy. By 2003, they have 110 million monthly listeners or monthly users. John, what are some of the whiny stuff about MSN that you used?
Oh my God, I would use it to chat to babes. I would use it to let everyone know that I was an alpha. I would talk.
I am an alpha.
Just to let you know, I know you're wondering, am I an alpha or a beta? Obviously an alpha. That's why I'm telling you. I would use it mostly to keep in touch with people I met at Christian camp. Another fun prank, by the way, was if someone left their MSN open, you just wrote to everyone, "You suck." Or as a friend of mine once did, he just wrote "cunt" to everyone in the person's list, including, and then at the house party, we got a call from that person's mom who said, "Why is there a 4-letter word on my computer now?" And I'll never forget that. Oh, you called because you assumed your son called you that, so you called him. Are you kidding me?
Cunt.
Yeah, cunt.
I mean, there is people who apparently used webcams on MSN. I don't believe that existed.
Believe that. I assume that like, here's the thing that's interesting about MSN. MSN came at a time in the internet where like it was before there was just an assumed pornographic and capitalist angle to it. Like we just were like, no, we assumed that. I just assumed that.
I mean, there was a pornographic angle to it.
What was the pornographic angle?
You just talked about it over. You just talked about it immediately. Child porn.
Oh, that was in the last episode. We were building to it as a joke. Yeah, the main issue, which was basically AOL was making most of its money from chat rooms that were just filled with pedophiles exchanging child porn or cruising for children to pedo. And MSN got out its binoculars and went, "Those sons of bitches are making millions off of those creeps. We'll make billions." And then they opened their own chat rooms that like literally was like, "Hey, you think AOL is the Wild West? We don't even fucking know, baby. We got this guy Epstein in here, and in fucking 20 years, people are going to know his name. And yeah, so then they did that and then had to shut it down immediately because it basically became that part of the prison where the gang members aren't allowed to go because they're going to kill all the prisoners there. The Chomos, according to the YouTube accounts I've been following.
Well, they also, like, kind of opened, hey, we have all these chat rooms, like, just as chat rooms became obsolete. Just as it was like, maybe I don't want to talk to just anyone on the internet. Because chat rooms are really like a 90s thing, and MSN is to early 2000s. And a lot of people are hard on MSN, like, yeah, it was cool, and then Microsoft fell apart, and it's like, yeah, man.
You're 20, that's why it's cool.
Well, they couldn't have beaten MySpace. There's no chance.
Yeah, no, you can't beat a place where you can show people your 8 favorite songs. Check out these guys. They're my top 8 friends. Oh, I'll have you know, I was recently walking by 2 comedians and I heard the following thing. I can't believe I just remember. This is the best. Yeah, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you where our problem started. You didn't put me in your top 8 on MySpace. Walking into the Comedy Store, a comedian who is very famous said that to another pretty famous comedian, and I was aghast.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone looks back on MySpace really fondly, but I guarantee it's only because
Facebook
was
replaced
only around. No, it was only around for a bit. Yes,
and Facebook replaced it. Like, it was replaced with something much worse. Franco doesn't get remembered as a fascist leader because of Hitler. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Like, imagine there'd be entire if MySpace had just outlived Facebook, there'd be entire docuseries on the emotional damage that a top 8 switch did.
I guarantee that Dane Cook counts the lucky stars that he's not been outed as the monster he clearly is, because he was the great celebrity of MySpace, and MySpace exists in this place where it's like, well, it wasn't as bad. Like, MySpace is someone took a solid log shit on your wall, and then Facebook was diarrhea. Like, it was still shit on the wall. But in terms of cleanup and damage, much less so. You know, wipe of the wall, a scoop of the log. Diarrhea. You're like, how did it get on the lighting fixtures over here?
Yeah, MySpace there was an ability to have like a blog where you could write about somebody without using their fucking name.
Yo.
They had the top 8. They had what songs you like a song would play when your profile.
And let me tell you what MSN had, Dylan.
Yeah.
You could see the people you were talking to. You can make a weird, annoying noise. And you could send limited emojis. Oh, and you can update your status.
Update the status. You could also do the fucking the away thing. You know those people. Remember?
This is the thing. You
could
actually
say you were away. There was a lot of people. They were never away. They fucking lied, John.
You're looking at one of them. I was a no.
You were always away.
Always.
I've never. I hated the like. You don't have anything better to do. I remember messaging people specifically. I'm like, "Why just take that away thing off? Why you gotta lie?
Yeah,
you're a known liar."
Because Dylan, you're like a societal narc. You'd never narc someone on drugs, but you would be like wearing white after Labor Day. I didn't realize someone doesn't get invited to Nantucket.
Oh yeah, I will. I will just snap and call them. Why you open a door like that?
Yeah.
Don't open a door like that. That's pathetic.
I remember you not lost your mind, but you were in that way that people can be. I remember we were at a bar in like 2012 and someone ordered a vodka drink. Like, we were all getting beers and someone was like, I'll get a vodka and water. And I remember you just like muttered under your breath. You went,
yeah, it's true. There's no reason to drink a vodka water. Just drink the vodka.
It was Aliasan, and I don't think that you've ever looked at him the same. I don't even know if you're aware. You just went like, I thought we were being men.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you know, he's a known thief.
Evidently, that's what Dylan's spreading out there now. Take that, host of CBC Laugh Out Loud.
Give me some of your MSN statuses.
1 bourbon, 1 scotch, 1 beer.
Ooh.
I remember a ex-girlfriend of mine changed her status to heartbroken. And I not realizing
message her cunt.
Not realizing that she would see it, I responded with mine with fine, doing fine or something like that.
Doing great.
Whoop, yep. Decision made, decision stuck to. Yeah, by the way,
that's fucked up. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. I I actually, how do I say this?
Change
I don't.
status from away to online for that one. You're like, I'm here.
I don't regret it at all because later that ex-girlfriend, I ran into them in Toronto when I was doing comedy, and they had clearly just bought a new hat. And I remember they went, "Don't you like this hat?" And I went, "Yeah, it's fine." And they went, "You regret breaking up with me?" And in my head, I went, "I do not. I do not."
They said that's good.
Yeah, they said
Well,
that they
because
also
of that status when you put fine.
Yeah, I mean, I now looking back have connected the two. That was also up there with, that was my string of ex-girlfriends tried to make me feel bad because they had sex with an improviser in Toronto, and I was like, no, that actually is worse for you. That makes you look bad. Like that's like, I've already fucked someone. And I was like, yeah, a guy who's an improv instructor. Like that's, you should go and be cleaned by professionals now. This is the worst thing anyone has ever done. I feel bad for you.
Well, yeah, there should be a book that's widely popular called So I've Lost, or So They Don't Care About Me, where it's like, yeah, man, you dated someone, they don't care about you, you care about them, you just gotta move on. You can't win. There's nothing you can do to win. They hurt your feelings, and they're fine now, and you.
By the way, it's gonna the roles will reverse later, but this is crazy.
Yeah, of course. It's okay. So your feelings hurt. Having a toddler, you just realize how many adults don't understand, like how crazy it would be to just be like, that hurt my feelings to someone, and how they would never know how to respond if you just genuinely were like, that hurt my feelings. Why would you do that? And then people are like,
I've had to genuinely have those conversations with people. One guy in particular, hey man, you got to stop doing this. It makes me feel fucking insane. And I remember his response was the politest version of, well, your feelings are not me, so why do I care? And it's just one of those ones where you're like, this is what you're on the list now of one of those people that is just not my friend.
I guess you don't understand that I'm a sociopath. Anyway, MSN statuses were big. That was a really good way to be whiny, especially like your example is really good where you're not you're updating your status all the time just so that you can send a message to someone you're not fucking talking to.
I mean, I wasn't even doing that. You're putting way too much power into. I have never been one of those.
I've seen this a lot where like people would break up and then they would have a status like.
I agree with you.
Just watching a Little Mermaid. That movie fucking sucks.
Yeah, I'm now dating a lot of chicks because I'm cool. No reason.
No, yeah, it was just like putting someone's favorite movie sucks because you rejected me. You're a cunt.
I still say this is true, that I would pay a premium to any social media service that any overtly, like, way too many photos of them on a cliff's edge, as soon as they break up, I would pay a premium to get a little PDF explaining exactly what happened. Oh, would that not be so satisfying? Just like, fuck. Stop posing for photos at the yoga class you're doing with your fiance. And then when that marriage doesn't take place, I demand a fucking email explaining who cheated. Because I know someone did. I fucking know someone did. It just drives me fucking insane.
Well, I mean, there's got to be some correlation for people who post everything on social media and then when they break up, an allegation of emotional abuse. Because I'm pretty sure that's like 33% or something of people who
you're being incredibly generous with the 33. I would put it at 49.51.
49.51. John, did you ever BRB somebody and then just sit right there?
What do you think this podcast is?
BRB.
There's another person who thinks I'm hosting a podcast with them every time we record. Right before I go, hey, I just need to go to the bathroom, and then I come and record this podcast.
Is this like, it's so funny because I remember BRB being mean where it's like they're just fucking right there. They just don't want to talk. Now it's just more acceptable to straight up ghost somebody so you just don't respond.
So funny. Oh my God. I remember a buddy of mine now, much like how we have a friend who claims they invented the what chat, one of the most egregious claims ever to exist in the history of humanity, is another friend of mine claims he invented ghosting because this is slightly later.
That's nuts.
This is so good. Are you ready?
He invented so all the people who would just leave their families without saying bye, that didn't happen. He invented
because that was in person. His was purely he had chat sex with two people he met on on weird gaming message boards.
Telling people about chat sex you've had is so bad.
There's a lot of honesty coming out of my friend groups now that they're hitting their 40s, and it's really how do I say this? It's really filling in some gaps in my understanding of their personalities where I'm like, oh fuck, this kind of almost worked once. Anyway, he jacked off with 2 different people doing chat sex, and then he never spoke to them again. He's like, I never heard anyone else doing that, and now people talk about ghosting. And it's just like,
yeah, that's because those were 40-year-old men.
Yeah, like, bro, what are you doing?
There's no chance that was a lady. That was the guy who looks like you now.
It is 50-50. He was somehow just talking to himself, that the one person was him also, and he doesn't realize he's just going back and forth. What do you want to do? Jack off. Me too. That's it.
He's just got 2 separate Hotmail accounts. He's like, nice, nice.
Bringing up MSN, this is much different because I feel like Dylan's hometown has moved on, but everyone from my high school still lives in my old neighborhood. Going back to a tape a special in Ottawa, by the way, and I guarantee some real blasts from the past are going to show up that are literally going to be like referencing something I wrote on, remember on MSN Messenger when you said the Will Ferrell movie Blades of Glory will be better than Step Brothers? I bet you there's some egg on your face now.
Did you ever have MSN like there was like multiple people? It was for me. It was always some girl would make a big like thread. I mean, you guys call it a group chat now, and then I would leave the group chat because I'm like, I can't deal with this amount of stimulus.
No, there were no group chats in my. Like, group chat is a very like recent Facebook vibe.
No, there was there would be like a chat between. They would add you and your friend and other people, and then they would try and create like a group chat over MSN. And if you're like me, you'd be like, "Oh, cool! I'll see you guys later," and then just don't respond.
Nothing about my friend group was getting added to anything via girls. We had black t-shirts and chain wallets, and the BO was intentional. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so did we. And then there were girls with pink hair, and no one, like, nothing happened. Clearly, too much of an incel, too much of a purebred incel. I was the first incel. So yeah.
Oh, I disagree. I didn't
have the gumption to get a driver's license, so I couldn't do it. But I was there. I was on the ground floor. You can use that.
I mean, yeah. Like I want, like, everyone was like, "Oh, I'm so terrified of the kids today, like all this incel stuff," and I'm like, well, the only difference now is that they have a name and people are looking out for it. I just remember when those guys were my friends, and looking back, thank God more violence didn't take place.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was ahead of the curve. It's like everyone's just fat and depressed and they don't stay inside. I'm like, yeah, and
welcome
cool.
to the Vulcan party, pal.
Welcome to pro wrestling and stand-up comedy, mother fathers.
It is so crazy to me that stand-up comedy and pro wrestling are the industries they are today, where it's like, you understand that the foundations of these are the cum of school shooters who were not living places where they could get guns. This entire thing is fueled and propelled by people that looked in a mirror and went, I'm going to fucking show them. And then realized that they didn't have the confidence to stab those 2 jocks, so they're going to get them back the old school way, writing a bit about airline peanuts in 2009. Yeah.
I remember specifically a guy being like, you want to see how to wheel abroad? And then he went on MSN.
Oh, good for you.
And then it was just like typing. He's like, I just put BRB. I'm still right here. And I would love to tell you at the time, I was like, what a fucking loser. But I was like, well played.
Whoa. What if she has a camera hidden in your house like I do for her?
No, what? That is bold, my friend.
Also, when you were hanging out with these guys, were you in a large apartment tower? There's a real period of time. The early 2000s was a period of time when people moved out of their homes, but instead of moving into like the fun downtown core where there's like bars, nightlife, things to do, they would move near the mall of the suburb we lived in and just hung out there. Whereas like, you got out of your parents' house to shop at the same grocery store as your dad? What the fuck is going on?
Oh, I definitely was in Toronto. The year was 2007, and there was a tinge of like, I was like, oh, this is what you were good at when you were in high school 4 years ago. Like,
yes.
This is like you are like now in your glory again. You're like, this is the one thing I know how to do. Make a woman feel like they need me on a chat forum.
It's the thing, like my hometown of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, briefly had a power metal scene, and what I realized was all the band geeks just didn't go to a different university, so they were just like, we're all gonna be Rush tribute bands. Do you guys like Dream Theater? No, we do. Like, I mean, I love metal. I can't describe to you how actively I fucking hate Dream Theater.
I never got into Dream Theater, never really liked or hated them, and I feel like I'm the only person who's heard Dream Theater and is in the middle. Everyone is either like, they are my gods, or I want them to die in a car accident every day.
It's that thing of, I've just seen Rush before, you know what I mean?
So 2005, it was rebranded as Windows Live. It was integrated with Yahoo Chat in 2006, which...
This is, I feel, is kind of the end. Like,
yeah. But by 2009, it had 330 million active users a month. Why is that, John?
China.
There you go. Thought you were going to say that a bit more fun.
You thought I was, but everyone I think thought, especially the way I started with the chai, everyone was like, where is this going? Nowhere.
He took us around the world.
I certainly
did.
And
they tried to make it like Facebook. They added some social media stuff to it. But really, which is so funny, where it's like, WhatsApp, what it is now, could have just been MSN.
It's very funny where sometimes it's like, how do we improve this product? It's like, don't touch it.
Yeah, it's fine the way it is.
Like, technically, they could have competed with texting if they'd figured out, like, if they just branded, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's in the same way that, like, no one talks about this, but every technological innovation either becomes porn or an email. It's either something you can talk or it's email. Like, when are we going to get self-driverless cars? When they figure out how to fuck it or give it a DM function, and then everyone will adopt it. Like, that's the thing with all technology. That's the thing I've learned with this podcast, where it's like, nothing dies in the technological world. It either just becomes email or something you can fuck.
Well, yeah, this also is the last kind of couple months of the Wild West, where now I think the social media sites are pretty much set in stone. Like, it's going to be Facebook, Twitter, or I mean, Twitter will go away, whatever. But like, it's going to be Facebook,
Facebook,
Instagram,
and Google. It's going to be Facebook,
TikTok,
Facebook,
YouTube for the rest of the time until we die. But then it was like, yeah, I mean, MSN had a chance to be more, but it just didn't, like, I don't know. They just didn't, I don't know what you can do, but they didn't integrate like having a profile into it early enough. And it was also kind of like your mom used MSN. It was very formal.
You also have to remember that, like, the idea of a profile wouldn't make sense to them because they're like, like, social media was not something that these guys were adopting, because this sounds really crazy, but this was the first wave of a new generation of cutting edge people when it was already cutting edge. You're going to see this in, for lack of a better term, stand-up comedy as this current wave, which is completely and totally created by people responding to the nerd comedy wave of the early 2010s. When the next wave comes to counter them, they're not going to know how to handle it, because they're going to be like, no, but we're edgy. We're 50. We wear leather. Sometimes I say the word gay, and I'm not referring to a homosexual. What more do you want? And people don't understand what's like. It's not that you're at the cutting edge. It's that, like, if the cutting edge is the popular thing, to the new generation coming in, that's the stuff their dad likes, so they want an alternative to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you just got to figure out how to dress in a way that's unique, but also you don't look so fucking stupid that you have to be like, listen, man, I made some mistakes, and now I got to dress different. In that way that Apple was cutting edge and cool to us when Apple came back, like, with the iPod and all that sort of stuff, but to our parents' generation, they were like, hey, the fucking guys that fucking made that expensive computer that didn't work 8 times, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, it was a complete and total shock, but then became a cool part of the millennial image. We're accepting of everyone unless they're Chinese and work in a factory, then work harder with your little fucking fingers. John, this is what the interesting thing, at least for me during this time, was asking for a girl's MSN was like kind of like asking for their number, but it was the hand job of asking for the number. It's like saying, if you reject this, not a big deal, but if you go for it, you come. Yeah, if you go for this, then maybe I can harass you or talk to you until we realize I have nothing in common with you and we can stop awkwardly, but not over the phone. I remember having fights with 2 different girlfriends on MSN,
and both times being like, I don't feel like this counts as a conversation. Like, it's that also weird thing of like,
You just got sending emojis and hoping for the best.
I remember I called one of them and they were like, we're talking already. And I'm like, not for real. Like, also, and I'm not trying to spell while I'm fighting. We're either going to fight or I'm spelling. You need to pick a
tone is very
side.
important in an argument.
Correct. I'm not allowing you to read my tone, person in first year of university. What are you, fucked?
Yeah, like it's just how you would. I would say I was done with MSN by the end of high school. Like once I moved away, I was all good. But I was in college in a dorm, so it was like you would just text somebody.
You were living MSN. Oh yeah, and I know the people you were in that dorm with. Oh my god, a guy whose penis size was questioned, another person's certain proclivities, rumors were spread.
Oh yeah, pedophile. There was a full pedophile, open pedophile. Very good.
Was there a full open pedophile in your dorm?
Yeah, you were there.
Whoa! I was not there. I was in Montreal at the time. We were not friends.
Did you ever get blocked by someone?
Probably that ex-girlfriend that I accidentally did that feel fine post about, I would assume, but I don't think so.
Man, it must be infuriating to date someone with your level of like this thing and then that thing, because they're just gone and they want you to notice them, but you're just like, no, I'm on to the next thing. I'm on the next thing. I don't even see this anymore.
Yeah.
Like you block you and you're like, that's fine. Or not even that's fine, just not even like thinking about it. I know I'm like that. I'll just forget things and I'll just be like, I remember someone getting in my face and saying something at a party and I was like, what? And you know what the craziest thing is? What you really want to make someone very angry is they're like said something about me making fun of you, that like I made fun of them and I was like, I don't even know if I've ever seen you before. They're like, you made fun of me over there. I'm like, man, I've been outside smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, and then I switched to we ran out of gin. I'm drinking vermouth. What do you want out of this? And then everyone laughed, and then it was like diffused the whole thing. But he was going to beat the shit out of me for sure, because it's like, there's no way I could fight.
There were 3 different people. This is all England stories. There were 3 different people that thought I was a fucking asshole because they just ran into me when I was in the middle of a panic attack, and none of them thought I had a panic. Like they're like, you don't seem like you have panic attacks. I'm like, well, I'm telling you that I do. So what do you want from me? And they're like, well, I still think you should have. One of them was like, you didn't say hello to me in the park in 2016. And I remember specifically which park it would have been. And I was like, yeah, man, I thought I was having a heart attack. I was running away to panic. And he was like, nah, that's not what it was. And I was like, I'm not having this argument with something where it's like, nah, you're too tall.
Yeah, you're too tall. You're too tall to have panic attacks.
Yeah, my one problem with that I guarantee I'm incredibly frustrating because it's just like, it's over and done now, especially in like big time relationships where it's like, we've processed it, we figured it out. We're not rehashing this 3 years later like every millennial did in their mid-20s, which no one wants to talk about. Was a real generational function of us if everyone broke up with their like first girlfriend and then one of them was just pined for years. Oh, there's like 4 examples from our friend group. There's one from my life that was just like, come on, God, like just what are we doing here?
Well, that's what, you rehash all your old relationships constantly. I don't think that's a generational thing. I think everyone just like, that was the one that got away, the guy in grade 6.
There's a specific time in your 20s I found where everyone sort of has that one first big relationship. And then there was a period of time I remember where like so many people were like, I've got to get back with them. And it's like, I don't think you do. You guys cheated on each other constantly and were annoying as fuck. You're just 25, and for some reason in Canada, everyone's like, you know what comes after 25? Your brutal death because you're over the hill now.
Yeah, you should buy land.
I mean, Dylan, not every solution to every problem is buy land, but the solution to this problem is very much buy land.
Well, Canada, there's no fucking place you make it in Canada. This is a reworking of a joke I've heard 800 times in England. There's no Canadian dream. No one's like, if I just ride the rails enough, maybe I'll be the mayor of Sudbury.
The Canadian dream is move to America. Maybe one day, because of who you are, you can grow up big and strong and qualify for a visa and move to a real country.
Well, I'd say that's more for show business.
I mean,
but most people around here are just like, I want to have a construction company and I want to have a cottage, which I don't view as owning a second home, but is insane when you say it out loud. You don't have a cottage? Oh, 2 homes? No, I don't have 2 homes.
You know how many people I grew up with that lived in apartments but had a cottage? That's the one that always blew my mind. Wait. You want to have access to property for 6 weekends a year, but you're raising I remember this. You're raising 3 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment and you have a 7-bedroom cottage. I'll never forget that too. That family was so weird. They were one of them. I ran into the eldest son when we were 22 in a bar, and he introduced me to his 45-year-old wife. And I remember being like, yep. Yeah, they laid the groundwork for exactly this guy to be this guy.
What, 45-year-old, is that up or down?
He was 22. She was 45.
Hell yeah.
Since divorced.
MILF.
He sent me a lot of information about various pipelines in COVID, and then all of his social media is gone, and not in a way that I feel he quit, but more in a wheel that I feel that they were like, we got to purge these QAnon accounts.
So that's good. I mean, getting a MILF. We got to talk about fucking MILFs one time, bro.
I mean, next episode's about MILFs. There we go.
Next episode is about MILFs, about how when people would call themselves cougars. You remember that? We started stand-up, and there would be like a 40-something woman going through something. It was like, I'm a bit of a coug. Handsome people doing stand-up is a very recent thing. If there was social media in 2005, people would have, basically the TikTok clones that are around now in 2005. Yeah. No one would own smartphones with the level of stand-up comedians were, me and John included. Not John, actually. John was handsome, but just people.
Is handsome?
Yeah, you come up. It's just, yeah. My face is weird. Throw in the like.
The more important thing. Oh my God, the cougar thing was crazy. What was more important to remember about all that time? It was just stand-up wasn't cool. Like. People keep asking me, they're like, oh, was stand-up like when you started? Was it like a crazy party like it is now? And it's like, no one liked it. Like, we literally went to poetry open mics and were yelled at for ruining the poetry. Do you know how low ebb
I do like
your creative art form has to be, that poets are legitimately upset at you for bumming out their crowd? No one goes to a poetry reading being like, I'm gonna get sad. And then you're like, oh no, the comedians are here. This is the wrong kind of sad.
Oh no, see, the thing is, they're trying to make me sad and it's working. You're trying to make me happy and it's making me sad. You're really bad at the thing.
So
well, also just being in your face at a poetry, like being more obnoxious than a slam poet is difficult to do. But I'll say this, I did it, John.
Dylan.
Yeah.
The word is we. We did it.
Oh, we did it. So you're blocked by someone.
I'm banned from 2 different. I assume that they're shut down because it was 2009. But I'm banned from 2 different poetry meets. One in Kensington Market. I'm also banned from a storytelling night. I don't think
you're banned. It's not a building. You can't show up there and be like, Mr. Hastings, you're banned.
Banned. The word banned has been used 4 times in my career. 5 times. I can name all of the venues. 3 in London, 2 in Toronto. The 2 in Toronto poetry events. I mean, they don't own the venue. But I guarantee...
No, you weren't banned. Some guy said no, and then his shit got shut down like 3 months later.
I don't think it was 3 months. I think it was probably weeks later.
I went to a poetry contest one time, and the lowest score given was 7.8, and they got booed. The judge that gave the poem a 6 got booed by everyone in the crowd because it's a poem. It's an 8 or above.
Why were you at a poetry meeting, Dylan?
To laugh at them, and then laughing after that. Laughing, that was one of the hardest laughs I've had in my life. Getting out of that show, and then trying to keep a straight face the whole time, and then getting out of that show and laughing super hard. Man, I was an asshole, but it was a good laugh.
I saw a production of William Shakespeare's As You Like It that was so bad that for the last 2 acts, I sat in the audience being the only person full-on scream laughing, and it was I'm genuinely feeling better about the universe thinking about how fun it was watching how bad that play was. There was a part where one of the actors, I later learned, and this really you could have figured out from the scene, insisted that his own composition explaining the scene was sung before the scene started, And he was so of an unwieldy asshole, they just compromised and he was allowed to sing the song during the intermission. And that's when I began
That's crazy.
to laugh. I saw that guy for years. I saw all those people were my friends. I saw them later socially. I saw one of those guys when I was back in Montreal during COVID. We walked past each other on the street, and I then went into a park and started laughing again about how bad that play was. It's the best thing ever. Here's what I want to say about MSN that I've been trying to get out for the last 10 minutes. We've been distracted by fun points, which is this. Dylan, are you ready?
You met a lot of MILFs on there?
There's some I met, mostly MILFs. Michaels I'd like to financially invest with.
Yeah, MILF Suck Network. That was MSN.
No conspiracy theories on MSN because you couldn't post a statement. You had to say it to a person who could be like, "Are you fucked up?"
No, you could have a status that are like aliens are real.
Yeah, but that's as far as it was going. Like, no, let me say that there were 8 people that were not like, I was friends with one of them. Like, if you were a 9/11 truther in the 2000s, people were angry at you. Like, it's not like now where you could be like, I didn't get the vaccine, and people were like, just don't talk about it. We're trying to enjoy Easter. Like, if you were like 9/11 was an inside job, people were in Canada were like, you're being disrespectful to that country that we've made our identity of hating.
I mean, I pissed some people off, dude. You're my aunt. You log on MSN. My fucking status says God is dead. Ooh, take
Oh my
that,
God! Did we
Aunt
come to this in this
Susan.
episode or the last episode that your status was God is dead?
Yeah, one of my statuses was God is dead. And then imagine a guy with a status saying God is dead, like, where you're like,
God.
you want to get hammered tonight? Like that was. I got beer. You want to come over to my place? No one else is coming. It's just me and you. That way we save the beer.
Yeah, I don't got any wine because I'm not a fucking puss. Miss the days when you couldn't, as a man, they would have wine, but it would make more sense if you walked into a bar and tried to buy a Volkswagen Jetta than it would be to buy wine in a bar. It is. Explain that to someone, like, because people are like, why is it like a thing culture at some point, like, oh, wine's big? And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, before Barack Obama became president, if you ordered a glass of wine just to be your drink in a bar, the assumption was you were about to die because you needed you couldn't, like, unless you were having a steak and you were a rich man, you ordered a beer or a whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. You come in. First of all, that glass hasn't been washed in 10 years. I remember specifically when there was one bar that had microbrews, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is the world coming to?" A beer is Labatt or Coors. Suck a chip.
Exactly. I have 2 uncles that would literally be like, "This guy fucking gets it." One of them does point and goes, "The minute the bar started having their own beer, it all went to fucking hell." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Bartender's not supposed to about booze. He's supposed to create an atmosphere. You're supposed to know about the booze." And I was like, holy shit, he's fucking right.
Well, that's the thing, man. It used to be that the way to become, when you were middle-aged, you just got really into drinking, and now you get really into fitness. And you know what? We need a middle ground. We need people to bring back drinking.
No, I think weed is going to make up the difference. In that, like, let me put it this way: our generation is the last generation that'll be working out in our 40s. If you've been just mainlining edibles from your 20s to your 40s, when you get to 40, you know what you're doing? Sitting, because that's what you've been doing for the last 20 years. No one is like, if people are worried about climate change, not me. The amount of edibles people are ingesting, we are going to stop consuming. All you need to do to save the planet is one TV channel with reasonably good cartoons, another TV channel with conspiracy theory tinged documentaries that always end positively. The entire world will just calm down.
We'll end the episode, put a bow on it after this one. John, do you remember your MSN email address or your Hotmail email?
Yeah.
Was it just your name?
Peter North 2469 at hotmail.com.
Yeah, Peter North shoots. Peter North / shooting.
Peter North 2469 at hotmail.com was my email for a long time. I had to change it finally when I emailed someone about a job, and they responded with, "Hey, Peter." And I realized, oh, they don't understand my fun joke.
Peter North, baby. He was famous for shooting rope. Yeah, one of mine was God is dead. No kidding. One of mine was I I remember there was a beer.com email. You could have an email at beer.com, so I had one of those.
I had an Iron Maiden email forever. I still wish they had
That's
that.
fucking cool, man. David Hasselhoff also made HoffSpace, which was his version of MySpace.
Oh, fuck yeah. Maiden mail. I miss it so bad.
That would be sick. Fuck, man, just send me a maiden mail about it.
I was John H. at maidenmail.com.
That's pretty good. When they shut down the servers?
Well, I assume because Iron Maiden was like, hey, we're a band, we're not running an email business. Why is there a bunch of people's emails on our servers? And then I assume Bruce Dickinson was like, oh, well, don't you want money, man?
Maybe we don't want this much financial information. Imagine if Iron Maiden just fucking stole a bunch of people's identities. That'd be dope. Anyway, here's putting a bow on MSN. Here's what happened with MSN.
Go.
Fell off popularity in North America around 2010, but then was used in mainland China till 2014, and that's when it really they kind of pulled the servers shortly after that because Microsoft bought Skype for $8.5 billion. And then somehow during the pandemic got everyone to switch to another thing that they hadn't heard of instead of Skype because Skype's that bad, I guess. I don't know.
It is the craziest thing that Zoom beat Skype in the pandemic, that like we all were just soured by that fucking bee-boo-bee.
I don't know what it was because it's like I remember 90 fucking comedians had jokes about that when there was that whole thing where we would come. The summer was like, okay, COVID. There's not a lot of COVID cases this is summer, and then we go back inside in Canada. But that was 100 people had the joke of like, how did Skype fuck this up? But truly, I have no idea how they fucked that up.
It's so funny. I was so disconnected because I just did nothing for that first 6 months. Like I did not really know what Zoom was until I came back to LA in like the fall because it was just was putting that marriage to bed. You know what I mean? I was busy.
Yeah, you were busy. All right, well, first things first, I got to fucking cut this shit off, and then we're going to have fun. Yeah, I mean, I was just fucking playing The Witcher and doing nothing for a bit. It was great.
Oh, yeah. Like, I look back now on a lot of people, I'm like, oh, a lot of people were able to be famous by capitalizing that there was no competition for people's eyes and ears. Do you regret that? No. I think that my spleen would have ruptured if I hadn't sat on a sofa and smoked cigarettes for 6 months, because I think about my mental and physical state before that. And it was a nightmare.
Yeah, don't you wish you had just been in the same room making videos all day, every day, like fucking a dystopian novel? It was really hard to like the people who all the people who got famous during that period and got a bunch of followers. Congratulations, guys, because like
good for
you
you.
guys are fucking. You guys fucking. You guys have a level of fucking stick-to-itiveness I just do not have. I was like, as soon as that shit happened, I was like, sick. I'm doing the classic. Wake up, put on jeans, then do nothing with the day. I got jeans on. It feels like I've done something. There's a belt on.
Here's the thing. I didn't even put on jeans. I literally did the calculation right before COVID, which I had spent 5 weeks in a year in my apartment, which I don't know if you guys, and then the year before I lived on the road for 8 months. So I was a level of burnt out that was, I was the MSN Messenger in 2009, and
Whoa.
COVID was my Skype. It put me out of my misery. It is so crazy that Microsoft blames Skype for that, by the way. They always like, Skype came along and we couldn't compete. And it was like, no, social media came along. You just can't admit that Facebook beat you. And they're like, it was Skype. Skype did it.
Anyway, fucking suck a fucking dick. Next week is Don King.
Next week is Don King, a man who stomped a man to death, and everyone was kind of like, look, it's the 90s.
And
That's
he loves
cool.
Pogs and he loves MILFs, and we'll do an episode on Pogs.
We're doing an episode on MILFs. No one talking. American Pie. American Pie is the Citizen Kane of millennials, and no one wants to acknowledge that, but that is the truth.
I don't know what that means, but I'm excited to find out. Do you want to do MILFs instead of...
We're doing MILFs next week. We're doing MILFs. We're doing MILFs.
Next week's MILFs.